That all starts with the fact that the Trump administration apparently left Joe Biden with no COVID-19 vaccine distribution plan whatsoever. There's one of the ticking time bombs. CNN reports that within hours of Biden being sworn in last Wednesday, sources revealed that, quote, one of the biggest shocks that the Biden team had to digest during the transition period was what they saw as a complete lack of vaccine distribution strategy under Trump, despite the fact that multiple drugs had already been approved, end quote. I'm sure that was a shock to people whose focus has been governance and, getting to the governing of this new administration. But to those of us on the outside who are not charged with those heavy responsibilities, to those of us who are just picking at the outside scraps and pieces that fall to the floor about how bad this son of a bitch was, we knew this, didn't we? We knew there was no distribution plan. And how did we know it? We know it because we could see that one was not being put in place. Very simple way of figuring out what's going on. Open your goddamn eyes and see it. Now, you do that, Truth Seeker, and I do that. Members of the Biden transition team had other things to think, massive things to think about. And consequently, were shocked to find out that there was no plan. People inside the Trump administration no more gave a shit about distributing this vaccine than pissing up a rope. The only thing they wanted to do was to tout the idea that under Trump, a vaccine, Operation Warp Speed, had been developed. Look at me. Now, we don't have any way to get it into your arms, and you fuckers are going to continue to die and get sick, and Granny's going to be dead, and your mom and daddy are going to die. But hey, we developed the vaccine, even though we had nothing to do with it. That's how, just on every level, how horrible these son of a bitches were. So what the Biden transition team found, a person familiar with the whole thing about distribution told CNN, quote, there was nothing for us to rework, as far as distribution. We are simply going to have to build everything from scratch. Now, another person added that the reaction of the Biden team upon learning that they'd have to start from square one was, wow, just further affirmation of complete incompetence. But it's more than incompetence. And this is what I don't understand. Well, I do, but I mean, figuratively speaking, I don't understand how the maggots don't get this. That Trump's incompetence, Trump's inability to think beyond his own forehead has cost the lives of thousands, of tens of thousands of people. And eventually these maggot son of a bitches are going to start dying from their little theater exhibit January 6th on the U.S. Capitol. Some of you fuckers are already dead. You are walking dead and you don't even know it. But you're going to die. And you're going to die, according to what I've read, a very miserable death. There are good deaths, there are bad deaths, and you son of a bitches are going to die trying to breathe through the fluid that will fill your lungs. And understand, that's a mind fuck. I understand that is really a rough way to go. Of course, whoever's attending to your deathbed can continue to push the morphine into your system, and you won't even know it. Of course, you won't know it when you die either, but who does? You son of a bitches. Anyway, as Bess reported in Vanity Fair, I got way afield there. She didn't say any of that shit. That was just me. But she writes, last week, just when it looked like Team Trump couldn't possibly do a worse job handling the pandemic if it tried, it emerged that despite the Health and Human Services Department announcing that the feds would start releasing COVID-19 doses that had been held in reserve for second shots, no such reserve existed. Now, you scum who attacked the Capitol, why don't you attack Trump, you dumb fuckers? That's your problem. But your mind has been so totally, a mind that was perverted to begin with, you monkey-ass looking fools, but you have been so totally conditioned into believing lies are truth, and truth are lies, and up is down, and your ass is your face, and your face is your ass. You people can't even think anymore. But you sure can wave those AR-15s around, can't you, you dumb bastard you? No reserve existed. So a lot of states are now saying that they're running out of doses. And thousands of people, you've been watching the news, have had their appointments canceled. Now, of course, the Trump administration, being the filthy scum that they all were, are blaming the situation on states supposedly having unrealistic expectations for how many doses were on the way. Of course, of course. So as Beth writes, Biden has said, of course, we all know this now, he wants to get 100 million shots into Americans' arms within the first 100 days of his being in office. A task that obviously would have been made slightly easier if the Trump son of a bitch had spent his last 2 months in office focused on the deadly virus rather than trying to overturn the results of an election. But that was Trump. And yes, we're back. Anyway, back to what was in Vanity Fair, online anyway, written by Bess Levin, the one whose headline really caught my attention. She writes that while Trump was attempting a coup, the United States was barreling toward 400,000 COVID-19 deaths, a figure that now stands at, 425,000 and counting? And shortly after taking the oath of office, Joe Biden signed an executive order requiring masks on federal property. In addition, he reversed Trump's wildly stupid, petty-ass decision to withdraw from the World Health Organization. Thank God for that, right? And Bess goes on to write that last Wednesday night, White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki said, quote, "The issue that President Biden wakes up every day focused on is getting the pandemic under control," end quote. Which in normal times you wouldn't have to say that. I mean, a spokesperson for the President of the United States wouldn't have to say that, but these are not normal times. Look what we have come through for the past 4 years with this pig gangster fuck Donald Trump in control of the country. And then last Thursday, this past Thursday, Biden signed a whole batch of pandemic-related executive orders, including companies to ramp up manufacturing of supplies for vaccines and for testing and personal protective equipment for healthcare workers. And then speaking to reporters, President Biden's coronavirus response coordinator, a guy named Jeff Zients, said, quote, "The administration expected the situation it was walking into to be bad, but never expected it to be this bad. What we're inheriting is so much worse than we could have imagined," end quote. And meanwhile, the scum at the Fox sewer is really pissed off that Joe Biden hasn't thanked, and this is a quote from Fox, "Donald Trump and the Trump administration for what they did," end quote. Jesus Christ almighty. See, that's another thing. When I become dictator of the United States, one of the first things I'll do is condemn the building in Midtown Manhattan where Fox sits. And after I condemn it, I will order everybody out. Of course, the city of New York will order them out because of the condemnation. And then when everybody is out and people have been removed, safe distances, then I will personally go in and plant explosives. And I will come back out on the street after I've done that, and I'll sit someplace where it's safe with a Diet Coke and a bowl of popcorn, and I will push buttons that will turn the Fox building into a hole in the ground to remain that way forever. Maybe with an obelisk in the middle that says, "Here lies one of the greatest lying propagandistic machines ever invented by the sick mind of white male Christo-fascists." Huh? Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. As you know, we've switched formats and are now broadcast exclusively on the Progressive Voices Network. So that means you get fewer program interruptions, no corporate commercials, and lots of profanity. But our format change also means some of our radio listeners no longer hear the program. It's been a while since I mentioned our podcasts, so you may have forgotten that there is a way to listen to this program anytime you need a good dose of screaming. Visit MikeMalloy.com and subscribe to our podcast. As a podcast subscriber, you can download the program to your mobile device and take me with you wherever you go. And if you have a friend who needs a dose of truth-seeking, you can give a gift subscription as well. That's MikeMalloy.com, and never miss a minute of the uncensored fun and frivolity.